Hey guys, I'm back with a new video. In this video, let us dive into more of iterable data structures other than arrays, which are maps and sets. As we learned in the previous videos that arrays can store nested data of any kind and length, and we also learned about various array methods available on arrays. We also learned that the order of elements in an array is guaranteed, duplicates are allowed, and we have zero-based indexing to access elements. Now let us discuss about what are sets. So about sets, the sets are data structures which store nested data of any kind and length. So you can have set of arrays, objects, strings, or anything for that matter. It's also an iterable with some special set methods that manage the data in the set though. But if you want to make use of array methods on the set, then we know that we can convert an iterable into an array using array.from, which we learned when we discussed about how to create arrays. The key characteristics that make a set different from an array are that the order of elements is not guaranteed. So let me write some points here. So first we are discussing about sets. Here the order of elements are not guaranteed. Okay, the very first key point is that the order of elements is not guaranteed. Then duplicates are not allowed. So duplicates are not allowed. Even if they are duplicates, they get eliminated here in sets. Then the third point is that no index space access. So no index space access is there in sets, which we already have in arrays, but the index space accessing is not supported by sets. Okay, so whenever you want uniqueness of any sort, definitely set is one of the data structures to go around with. You also don't have index space access. Instead, you have access that allows you to get a specific value if you are looking for it, and then you can see whether it is in the set or not. Now maps are yet another data structure where you can store your key values, data of any kind and length. Any key values are allowed, and of course that is a bit like an object where you also have key values in data. So just a brief intro about maps as well. So here you can store key value data of any kind and length. Just like in sets, any key values are allowed. So you can have null values, you can have object as the key, anything for that matter. Okay, so moving further, one important difference is that comparing object with a map is that in an object you may only have strings, numbers, and even symbols as keys. So we'll discuss later about symbols in a separate video, but in the case of maps you can use anything as a key. No matter what, you can have an array, a number, an object, or anything for that matter. I do have a separate video pertaining to maps. The link for that can be found down below. But we will do still a refresher for maps as well, so no worries. Now this is why maps give you more flexibility. It is an iterable with some special methods available on map. So it's an iterable with some very special map methods available that help you to manage the items in the map. Again, map can also be converted to an array using array.from method that we had discussed in the previous video. And then you can easily apply the array methods on it as well. So in map, the order is guaranteed. So here, order is guaranteed. Okay, which is unlike the case of sets where the order of elements is not guaranteed. Duplicate keys are not allowed. So here also the duplicate keys are not allowed. Duplicate keys are not allowed. And the order is guaranteed. Order is guaranteed. Okay, and duplicate keys are not allowed, and there is key based access. So if you want to access any element, you do not have any concept of indexes here. You can access an element using the key. So key based access. So this is the major distinction between sets, arrays and maps. Okay, so moving forward, so enough of talking, let us see these methods in action to get a thorough understanding of these data structures. So in my Visual Studio Code, I will do a practical demo for both sets and maps. So let us dive into sets before we move forward to maps. So what I will do is I will create a new set of enrollment numbers. Of course, that is a very good example to demonstrate this, for the reason that each student will have a different enrollment number for a course in a university. You want to store them in a data structure where you cannot have duplicates. So for that matter, I will be using sets because I already told you that duplicates are not allowed in case of set. Okay, so here's the point, that duplicates are not allowed. So we will be using set for this scenario. So to create a new set, you will use the new keyword followed by the set constructor. So I will say const enrollment numbers new set. Okay, so this new keyword followed by the set constructor method will basically give us a set, and with which we can already store, with which we can define our enrollment numbers, and then we can store that in a set. So if I now log the enrollment numbers to the console, so I will say console.log enrollment numbers. Okay, and back in my browser, if I inspect, and go to the console, so you can see we are getting an empty set that currently has no elements, no entries within the set. So we are not getting anything inside the set. So we are getting an empty set because we do not have added any elements to the set yet. Okay. So now optionally we can pass an iterable as an argument to a set in this opening parenthesis as an argument to the set from which you want to create a new set. So I will define some enrollment numbers here. I'll pass an iterable, which in this case is an array, and I will define some enrollment numbers 2715. I will copy this and I will repeat this 4 times. Okay, let us repeat this 3 times, and then I will introduce some changes here. So 27, say 32, then I will add one more 33, and then say 28 or 2515, and let us repeat one more element and then copy this. Okay, I think these many elements will be sufficient. Just remove this trailing comma. Now if I now log the set to the console, we will get the set as the output with unique elements. So let me go back to my browser, and you can see all the duplicacies got removed because I told you that a set will never have duplicate elements. Even if those duplicacies exist, they will first get eliminated and then only you will get the output. Okay, so all our duplicate elements got eliminated, and now we have unique occurrences for those elements. So back in my Visual Studio Code, let us proceed further. So all the duplicacies, as you just saw, are completely eliminated. To check whether a set has a certain value, you can use the has method on the set and pass the value whose occurrence you want to confirm. So what I will do is, I want to confirm whether this particular element is sitting in the set or not. So I will say console.log enrollment numbers dot has, and pass this element as this pass this value in the method invocation, and this will return us a boolean. Okay, so back in my browser, you can see it returns true because this element does exist inside our set. Now if I change it a bit like this, go back to the Visual Studio browser, so we are getting false because this element does not exist inside our set. Okay, so this has method helps us in finding out whether a certain element is present in our set or not. So let us proceed further. So as you can see, we are getting false here because the element is not present in the map. So this is how the has method works in practice. So moving further, let us discuss about the add method. Okay, so if we want to add a different value which is not present in the set, we can use the add method on the set. So I will say enrollment numbers dot add, and let me copy one element from here. We'll add it here and change it a bit. So I say 2714, and now log the enrollment numbers to the console. So back in my browser, you can see we are getting a new element in the set because the set size got changed from 5 to 6. Okay, so we have a new entry in the set, as you can see, this fifth one. So back in my browser, let us see more about sets. So in this case, the new element got added to the set. So as you can see, the new entry got added to the set. Now if I want to iterate over the elements that are present in the set, we can do that with enrollment numbers dot entries, and it will return us an iterable. That implies we can make use of this in a for of loop. So what I will do is, in order to iterate over the set, I will say for const enrollment number of enrollment numbers dot entries, and then I will log the enrollment number to the console. So let us check the output in the browser. So as you can see, we are getting our enrollment numbers being logged to the console. And what is the reason behind the value appearing twice here? So we are getting the values, we are getting the elements being logged 2 times in form of an array. Each element is being represented by an array of pairs, as you can see. So this is because of what the entries returns. It returns an iterable of arrays where you always have exactly 2 elements per entry, as you can see, and that is simply the value occurring twice. So if you want to get the entries of the set in a manner that each entry is listed exactly once, we can make use of the values method. So what I will do is, I will simply copy this for of loop, and I want the element to be logged a single time in the console and not in a pair in form of an array. I don't want that. Okay, just the values that are there in the set, I want that to get logged to the console. Okay, so now we are getting the values getting logged exactly once. So if you want to get the entries of the set in this manner, you can just make use of enrollment numbers dot values, and this will log each element of the set exactly once. Now if you want to delete an element from the set, you can specify the element that you want to remove in the delete method, and the element should be present on the set, otherwise this operation will not succeed. So we added this enrollment number. Let me delete this. So I will say enrollment numbers dot delete, pass this element as the argument to the delete method, and let us log the enrollment numbers after performing this operation. Okay, so now you can see the set size again got decremented back to 5. So now this enrollment number got deleted. So this enrollment number is no longer present in the set. Also, if a particular element that you are trying to delete does not exist on the set, it will simply ignore the operation. Okay, it will not throw any error, it will just simply ignore that operation. So also as a simple check, you can first check for a certain element using the has method in an if check before deleting it like this. Okay, so what you can do is, as a simple example, you can first check enrollment numbers dot have whether this particular element exists, and if it exists only then you delete it. Okay, so this is very much possible here. If the key does exist, this particular element does exist in the set, then only perform the delete operation, otherwise simply ignore it. To conclude, the sets are data structures that allow you to manage unique element. Now enough about sets, let us go over maps now. Again, if you want a complete dive into JavaScript maps, I have a complete video focusing on maps. It is much more detailed than what we will see in this video. So the link for that can be found down below in the video description. So maps can use any values and types as keys, and they are different from objects that we have seen. So if you don't know anything about JavaScript objects, I do have a complete independent playlist on JavaScript objects. The link for that can be found down below as well. Now objects can only use strings, numbers or symbols as keys. Now for huge quantities of data, maps perform way better than objects. On the other hand, objects are perfect for small to medium scale data sets. Map also offers better performance when adding or removing data frequently. Objects on the other hand are usually easier to create, and also from performance standpoint, the map creation takes a bit longer than the object creation. But you won't feel the difference in real world apps that you build. So let us see a demo for the maps again. Though again, the link for a full video dedicated to maps can be found down below. So in my editor, let us create a simple object. So maps, what I will do is I will create a new object called scene object. In this I will say name, set that to scene, and isGamer, set that to true. So this is the object. Okay, this is not a map, it's just an object. Now what if I want to define a map? So for that I will use the map constructor. So I will say const gamer map, and I will say new map. So I have discussed this syntax in my video on maps, do check out that as well. So new map, and I will pass in iterable as you can see, and I will use the scene object as the key, which in general represents the address at which the object is sitting at, but it is perfect to be used as a key as well, no problem with that. So I will say and here I will pass another array or iterable as you can say. So scene object is your key, and then for the value I can use another square braces, and I can set some object, some random object. I can say game as Counter-Strike, and say date played, say 22/10/2006. Okay, so what do you understand by this? So as you can see, here we are having a key as scene object, and the value could be additional information that you might want to store for that gamer object, but you don't want to merge that information into the object. So I'm defining some additional information for the scene object. So I'm using the scene object as the key, and then defining the values that it can hold as additional information using maps. Okay, so this will be the value for the map entry corresponding to the key scene object, which of course is the address at which the object is sitting at. Okay, so it is perfect to be key. And if I now log the gamer map to the console, so I will say console log gamer map, and let us check the output in the browser. scene object has already been declared. Okay, so let us change that to scene object 2. I must have referenced a scene object in my previous videos, that is why it is showing this error. Back in my browser, you can see here we are having a key. The key is an object and it is mapping to a value which is an array, as you can see, which is this. This entire thing is a value pertaining to the entry having the key scene object 2. Okay, and this is additional information. This thing is not getting defined on our object. Okay, we are just using the address as the key for a map. So we are not storing this information on our object, and neither we are mutating our original object. Okay, so you can see we have the scene object 2 as the key and the array as the value. So practically we can use anything as the key. Now to get a value by the key, we can say console log gamer map dot get, and I will pass the scene object 2 as the key and log that to the console. So back in my browser, you can see we are getting back the value pertaining to the key scene object 2, and this is the value. This is the value which is in form of an array that holds a single object where we have game and date played as the properties. Okay, so we can also add data to the map after it is created by using the set method. So as I told you, we can have anything as a key. So let me use string and also the value as a key, though you can use anything for sure without any problem. So I will say gamer map dot set the nerdy dev, and I will set the witcher. So I'm setting a key, the nerdy dev, and a value pertaining to that key in a new entry. So the value is the witcher. So if I now log the gamer map to the console, we can see we are okay. So let me log this gamer map, and back in my browser, we can see we have a new key, the nerdy dev, and it is mapping to a value, the witcher. So now we have 2 entries in our map. So the map size got auto incremented by 1. Okay, earlier the map size was 1, now it is 2, as you can see. So you can see each entry of the map that is getting logged to the console is an array of 2 elements. One is the key and the second one is the value pertaining to the key of that logged entry. Okay, you can see that here. So if you're just interested in the keys of the map, you can make use of the keys method on the map with a for of loop again. So what I will do is I will say for const gamer object key of gamer map dot keys, and then I will log the gamer object key to the console, gamer object key. So let us go back to the browser. So now you can see the keys are getting logged to the console. So the first one is the scene object 2, which was the key for a value pertaining to this. Okay, and next one is the nerdy dev, which was a string key that we set. So the keys are now getting logged to the console. If you want to do same thing but with values, we have the values method on the map. So let me go back to my Visual Studio Code, and I will simply copy this, and I will say game object value of gamer map dot values gamer object value, and now the values will get logged to the console pertaining to the keys of the map. Okay, so first was an array, the second one was the witcher pertaining to these keys. Okay, so now the values are getting logged to the console. So now you can see the values corresponding to the keys of the map are now logged. Finally, we can log the size of the map to the console. So what I will do is, back in my Visual Studio Code, I will say console.log gamermap.size, and this will basically return us the current size of the map. So back in my browser, okay, so it says gamermap.size is not a function. So did we do something wrong here? Okay, so let us move back. Gamermap.size. I don't think so that we did something wrong. Let me reload this. It says gamermap.size is not a function. I think it's a property instead of a method. Okay, so let us save this and go back to the browser. Okay, so it does work. It's a property and not a method. Okay, so size property will help you determine the size of the map that you are currently having. So this was all about the video on maps and sets. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends and colleagues, and I will see you guys in the very next video, where we will start with objects and move towards object-oriented programming.